Assassins are proof that humans looked at swords, arrows, and regular murder and said, what if the crime had better branding and worse chemistry? So we are starting with poisons that made victims look sick, unlucky, or dramatically bad at dinner, then moving toward the nightmare substances that can kill from a speck, a handshake, or a teacup nobody should have trusted. Number 8. Arsenic. Arsenic was the poison of choice for centuries, mostly because it was easy to hide inside normal life. It was found in medicines, cosmetics, rat killers, wallpaper, and probably 3 other products. Victorian people used before saying, "Why is everyone coughing blood?" In Renaissance Italy, the Borgia family became famous for rumors of arsenic poisonings, though historians argue about which stories were real and which were just enemies doing medieval Yelp reviews. Later, in 17th century Rome, a woman named Julia Tofana allegedly sold aqua tofana, a clear poison linked to arsenic and lead, to wives who wanted abusive husbands to experience a sudden spiritual career change. The terrifying part is that arsenic poisoning can look like cholera, food poisoning, or just the worst stomach flu of your life. Vomiting, cramps, diarrhea, weakness, confusion, then organ failure if enough gets into the body. Back then, doctors did not have modern toxicology, so an assassin could basically weaponize. The phrase must have been something he ate. And yes, technically, it was something he ate. That was the problem. Number 7, cyanide. Cyanide is the poison people think of when they picture spies biting a fake tooth, collapsing, and leaving everyone else to deal with the paperwork. In real assassinations, it was even stranger. During the Cold War, KGB agent Bohdan Stashinsky used a hidden spray device to kill Ukrainian nationalist Lev Rebet in Munich in 1957. 2 years later, he used a similar weapon on Stepan Bandera. The device fired a mist of cyanide compound into the victim's face, which made the deaths look like sudden heart attacks, because apparently the KGB saw a normal pistol and said, too honest. Cyanide works by stopping cells from using oxygen. That means a person can be breathing, the blood can be carrying oxygen, and the body still suffocates at the cellular level, which is biology's version of having Wi-Fi bars but no internet. Symptoms can move terrifyingly fast: dizziness, confusion, seizures, collapse, and cardiac arrest. The creepy part is not just that cyanide is deadly. It is that the death can happen quickly enough that witnesses may not understand they are watching an assassination, until the assassin is already halfway to his sad little spy apartment. Number 6, aconite. Aconite comes from monkshood and wolfsbane, which are beautiful purple plants that look like they belong in a cottage garden until you learn. The cottage is run by a witch with outstanding customer complaints. The active toxin, aconitine, has been used in poisoned arrows and blades across parts of Asia and Europe, and ancient writers described it as a weapon for hunting wolves, enemies, and anybody standing too close to a royal inheritance. One of the most notorious modern cases came in Britain in 1881, when Dr. George Henry Lamson poisoned his disabled brother-in-law, Percy John, with aconitine hidden in a cake. Lamson wanted inheritance money because apparently medical school does not automatically install a conscience. He was hanged the next year. Aconite is horrifying because it attacks the electrical system that keeps nerves and the heart behaving like civilized employees. Victims can feel burning, tingling, numbness, vomiting, weakness, and then dangerous heart rhythms, where the heart basically starts improvising jazz. There's no simple antidote. Doctors can only support the body and fight the symptoms. So if arsenic was the sneaky dinner guest, aconite was the pretty flower outside, smiling while it unplugged your heartbeat. Number 5, ricin. Ricin is made from castor beans. And before anyone gets excited, no, this is not a gardening tutorial for psychopaths. Castor oil can be used safely after processing, but ricin itself is a brutal protein toxin. And assassins loved it, because a tiny amount could be hidden inside something almost laughably small. The famous case happened on September 7th, 1978 in London. Bulgarian dissident Georgy Markov was waiting near Waterloo Bridge when he felt a sharp sting in his thigh. A man behind him picked up an umbrella and left. Markov developed fever, pain, vomiting, and severe weakness, and he died 4 days later. During the autopsy, Doctors found a tiny metal pellet in his leg, drilled with microscopic holes, and believed to have delivered ricin. It was the kind of spy weapon that sounds fake until you realize governments have always had the creativity of cartoon villains and the budget of a small dragon. Ricin kills by shutting down ribosomes, the little cellular machines that make proteins. No proteins means cells cannot repair, communicate, or keep the lights on. Depending on how exposure happens, it can damage organs, blood vessels, lungs, or the digestive system. There is no widely available antidote. Treatment is mostly desperate supportive care, which is doctor language, for we are keeping you alive while your cells try not to resign. Markov's umbrella became famous because it turned an ordinary rainy day object into a murder weapon. Very British, very horrible. Number 4. Thallium. Thallium is nicknamed the poisoner's poison, which is a very rude title because it sounds like the poison community held an awards ceremony, and this one showed up in a tiny tuxedo. It is a heavy metal that was once used in rat poison and even hair removal products because history is basically a museum of things people put on their bodies before asking one question. Thallium became infamous in the 20th century because it was hard to detect and produced confusing symptoms. Some reports have linked it to attacks on political dissidents, including Iraqi opponents of Saddam Hussein's regime, and in 1957, the Soviet defector Nikolai Koklov became violently ill after attending a conference in Frankfurt. Doctors later concluded he had been poisoned, with thallium strongly suspected, though some details remain messy because spy history is just crime with missing paperwork. The poison damages nerves, the gut, and multiple organs. At first, it can look like ordinary illness, stomach pain, vomiting, and weakness. Then comes the signature nightmare: hair falling out in clumps, nerve pain, numbness, confusion, and sometimes coma. Imagine trying to solve your own murder while your body is shedding like a haunted golden retriever. Modern tests and treatments exist, but thallium earned its reputation because it could hide behind vague symptoms long enough for an assassin to disappear, and for everyone else to blame dinner, stress, or whatever curse the family aunt believes in. Number 3. VX. VX is not subtle in the way arsenic is subtle. VX is what happens when chemistry walks into the room wearing black gloves and everyone should immediately leave. It is a nerve agent developed during the Cold War, and it is so toxic that international treaties treat it like a substance humanity should keep locked in a basement with a brick on the door. The most infamous assassination happened on February 13th, 2017, at Kuala Lumpur International Airport in Malaysia. Kim Jong-nam, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, was approached by two women who smeared substances on his face. They later claimed they thought it was a prank for a TV show, which is either the worst job interview in history or the darkest hidden camera episode ever pitched. Kim staggered to airport staff, saying someone had attacked him. Within minutes, he was in severe distress, and he died before reaching the hospital. Malaysian investigators said VX nerve agent was found on his face and clothing. VX works by blocking acetylcholinesterase, an enzyme that normally tells your nerves to calm down. Without it, nerves keep screaming. Muscles twitch, pupils shrink, saliva and sweat pour out, breathing becomes harder, and then the lungs and heart can fail. It is not a poison that whispers. It turns the nervous system into a group chat where everyone is sending emergency messages at once and nobody can mute it. The assassination was terrifying because it happened in public, under cameras, in an airport full of travelers buying snacks and complaining about boarding zones. 1 second. Normal airport misery. The next second, chemical warfare with a departure board. Number 2. Novichok. Novichok is a family of nerve agents developed by the Soviet Union, and the name roughly means newcomer, which is adorable if you ignore the fact that the newcomer brought seizures. These agents were designed to be extremely potent, difficult to detect, and politically useful for the kind of government that wants a message delivered, but apparently cannot just send an email like a normal villain. On March 4th, 2018, former Russian intelligence officer Sergei Skripal and his daughter Yulia were found collapsed on a bench in Salisbury, England. Investigators said they had been poisoned with a Novichok agent. Both survived after intensive treatment, but the attack contaminated homes, streets, police equipment, and the nerves of everyone who suddenly had to wonder whether touching a door handle was now a geopolitical event. Months later, Dawn Sturgis died after being exposed to the same agent from a discarded perfume bottle, and her partner Charlie Rowley became seriously ill. This is why using poison is not just assassination. It is leaving death lying around for random people, like the world's worst lost and found. A similar agent was identified after Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny became violently ill on a flight in 2020. He survived after treatment in Germany. Novichok poisons the body by wrecking nerve signaling, leading to sweating, vomiting, convulsions, paralysis, and breathing failure. The science is complicated, but the basic idea is simple. Your body receives the command to panic. Then every system obeys at the same time. It is assassination by corrupted software, except the software is your nervous system and the tech support is an ambulance. Number 1. Polonium-210. Polonium-210 is where assassination stops feeling like crime and starts feeling like someone smuggled a cursed sun into your lunch. It is a radioactive isotope discovered by Marie and Pierre Curie in 1898, named after Poland. And normally it belongs in industrial or scientific settings, not inside a human being, because that is the kind of sentence even a mad scientist should read. On November 1st, 2006, former Russian security officer Alexander Litvinenko met two men, Andrei Lugovoy and Dmitry Kovtun, at the Millennium Hotel in London. He later became violently ill. Doctors first suspected food poisoning, but his hair fell out, his organs failed, and the mystery kept getting uglier. Investigators found polonium-210 in his body and traced radioactive contamination through hotel rooms, airplanes, restaurants, offices, and even a teapot. Imagine the investigator who realizes the crime scene is not a room. It is half of London with a loyalty card. Litvinenko died on November 23rd after 3 weeks. A British public inquiry later concluded that Lugovoy and Kovtun had carried out the poisoning and that the operation was likely approved by senior Russian officials, which Russia denied because international murder investigations are apparently just serious group projects where nobody turns in the same answer. Polonium is so horrifying because outside the body, its alpha radiation can be blocked by skin or paper. Inside the body, that same radiation destroys tissue at close range, bone marrow, and organs. It is silent, invisible, and absurdly specialized. You do not smell it. You do not see it. You watch doctors discover that the poison is not chemical at all. It is microscopic radiation doing demolition work from the inside, one cell at a time. And that is why polonium-210 sits at number 1. Not because it kills loudly, but because it turns an assassination into a glowing radioactive breadcrumb trail, proving the murderer tried to vanish while leaving the universe itself as a witness.